Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of JB Commentary. In this channel, I'll just be discussing boxing events, scandals, news, anything that comes up of interest. And so I'm going to begin this episode discussing Ben Whittaker and his fantastic performance in his rematch against Liam Cameron. So these two had two fights. The first fight happened in October 2024 in Riyadh. The fight was declared a draw in the fifth round. So what happened was, in that fight, Ben Whittaker was a strong front runner. He was very sharp, very explosive, had excellent reflexes. However, Liam Cameron was an excellent pressure fighter, and his pressure began to get to Ben Whittaker. And slowly, as the fight continued to unravel, Ben's punches started losing its sting. His head movements stopped being so sharp. He started getting more tired. He started getting caught with more shots. His shots started having less of an effect on Liam Cameron. And there was a long way to go before the end of the fight. So the momentum was with Liam Cameron, who was the B-side in this situation. So then we had a controversial ending. So at the end of round 5, Ben Whittaker was backed up to the ropes. Liam Cameron was above him. They tied up, and then somehow both flipped over the ropes. So Liam Cameron was good to go straight after the fight, but Ben Whittaker was declared injured. And due to the injury, the fight had to go to the judges' scorecards, and the judges scored them even at that point in time. So it was declared a draw. Now, that brought massive controversy because the way Ben Whittaker fell over the ropes, it didn't really make sense to call it ankle injury, because people don't believe him, put it like that. A lot of people do not believe him, It would have made sense if you said back injury because he landed on his back. If you said neck injury, head injury, that makes a lot of sense. But there was nowhere really for Ben Whittaker's ankles to land except to dangle in the air. So it just doesn't make sense as to why it was declared ankle injury. So a lot of people don't believe him. And I can't lie, I struggle to believe it too. And I'm a Ben Whittaker fan myself. On top of that, so Ben Whittaker was what you call a villain boxer, where, he had a little cocky, arrogant style where he likes to, trash talk and, sort of make fun of opponents a little bit to draw attention. And a lot of the boxing purists really didn't like that. So he ended up becoming accidentally a villain. Maybe it was by design, who knows? But I don't think it was their intention to make him a villain. I think it was more of his intentions to be the golden boy. But yeah, he ended up being a villain. So now a lot of people tuned into his fights to watch him get beaten up, hoping he'll get beaten up. So far, it's not happened yet. But anyway, so going back to this, after the fight, Ben Whittaker was branded Ben Whittaker because people believed that he was looking for a way out in that fight, and hence why the injury had a lot of controversy. The next day, he was pictured with tape around his ankle, but that could have easily been a PR stunt. So a lot of people don't really believe it, and I didn't really believe it myself. I'm gonna be honest. I think it was bollocks. I did think Liam Cameron was getting to him. The pressure was getting to him. I felt like he overlooked him. He thought this was going to be a formality. It's supposed to be a piece of cake. But, it ended up being a harder fight than he anticipated. And he just wanted out of there. So, in the rematch, Ben Whittaker replaced his coaches with Andy Lee. So he can because he has a more aggressive, professional Kronk style of fighting, which was popularized by major fighters like Michael Moorer and Tommy Hitman Hearns. So it was a fantastic performance. It was a homecoming in Birmingham. Unfortunately, he was booed in the arena in his homecoming, and that would have a massive mental effect on someone. And on top of that, yeah, just to note, yeah, there was a 6-month period between the first and the second fight. Ben Whittakers is one of the new Golden Boy superstars, so he was extremely active on social media. But when it came to that 6-month period, you barely heard a peep out of him. This guy, he stayed quiet, he stayed he stayed low key, he's radio silence, and all he did was graft. So anyway, he was booed massively in the rematch, and he stopped Liam Cameron in 2 rounds, which is on the outside, that's amazing, having a comeback win and stopping a guy in 2 rounds, especially when you're not known to be the biggest puncher. That's an excellent confidence boost. But if you look at this objectively, is this going to do more harm for him than good? I think it does more harm personally, because I feel like he may gain a false sense of confidence from this. And here's why. So, from my limited knowledge of boxing, not gonna go out like I know everything, but from what I understand of boxing, the job of a promoter is, number one, help a fighter make lots and lots of money. Number two, promotion, promote his brand, let people know who he is, let people get to know him, so that way they become interested in watching him, because the better promoted he is, the more pay-per-views he sells and the more bums he puts on seats. And the third job is appropriate matchmaking. So he needs to help give him fights which are winnable, but also losable if he doesn't take it seriously. He needs to identify his weaknesses and then matchmake him to people who will test him in those weaknesses, so that way he develops it. Because if he develops it, when he becomes a world champion, that's how you maintain your title rather than getting quote unquote exposed and whatnot. So the reason why I don't think this fight in the long run really was good for Ben Whittaker, and it's not Ben Whittaker's fault, it's not Ben Shalom's fault either. I pinned this on the referee, Howard Foster. Now, guys who are very familiar with British boxing, like the hardcore fans, we know about this referee and his history of early stoppages and stuff like that. And he's struck again. He's done it. He ended the fight way too early. Yes, okay, he caught him with an excellent right hand and he stunned him and backed him up. Brilliant job, Ben. But he was nowhere near out. He was in condition to continue fighting. He was backed up against the ropes. He was defending himself intelligently. Yes, a few shots went through, but he wasn't on the floor. And if it was Ben Whittaker on the receiving end of that kind of barrage, I don't believe he would have stopped the fight that early. And my problem with that is, not only did he rob Liam Cameron of an opportunity to, have an amazing career boosting win for himself, but this is poor for Ben Whittaker's development, because Ben Whittaker, yeah, we've always known him. Yeah, all those who've watched his career, we know that he's an amazing front runner. At the beginning of a fight, he's strong, he's fast, he's sharp, his reflexes are on point. It's brilliant. He's a great front runner. But when he's not controlling the distance and when he's not controlling the pace, once it gets to around the 4th, 5th round, that's when he begins to unravel. And what separates a contender to a world champion is being able to dig deep, being able to go from first gear to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, being able to turn it up on people, and being able to perform brilliantly in the championship rounds. That's what separates champions to contenders. So, as a promoter, you're trying to build Ben Whittaker, right, to be a world champion who's going to reign for a significant period of time, right? So, stopping fights early and giving him soft stoppages is not going to benefit him. It's not going to benefit him. It's only going to do worse. He needs to go through it. He really needs to go through it. Like, the ref should have given Liam Cameron an opportunity to actually fight back, compose himself, get himself together, and then let the fight unravel. And if he stops him legitimately, great. I would have liked to have seen the fight go longer. I'm disappointed it ended that early under these circumstances. But, you know, a win is a win. Congratulations to Ben. Regardless, it takes a lot of balls to go into a situation like that. And to come out like that, I'm very, very happy for him. But in future, if I was his trainer, I'm getting him sparring heavyweights in small rings. You know, I'm having him put in 4-minute, 5-minute rounds with 30-second breaks. He's alternating sparring partners every round, so that way his partners are fresh while he's tired. Because that right there is going to test his resolve. That right there is going to push him to his cardiovascular limits. Because that right there is what's going to help fashion him into like a world level fighter. Those tough rounds where it's high intensity, high duration, and short rest periods. And if I was Ben Shalom, I would match him up with guys who were tall like him. I'll match him up with guys who were long reach like him, so he can't just sit back on the jab. And I'll get some tough Eastern European guys, some tough African guys, some tough whoever fight. I don't care what his record is. You just need a guy here who's going to walk forward no matter what. A guy who will take 3 punches for the sake of giving back 5. Guys who will not stop. Guys who will not be intimidated by Ben Whittaker. You know, those are the kinds of fights that he needs to develop him into a world caliber pro. So that's just my opinion. But honestly, Ben Whittaker, I wish him the best regardless. I feel like he's fresh, he's exciting, and he's something that UK boxing needs. UK boxing needs personalities. We need stories. We need narratives. We need people to root for. We need people to hate. And he provides that. It's what we need, you know? If everybody's just being gentlemen, like shake your hands, it's going to be a very boring sport, you know? Give me some WWE. Give me something to get entertained by. Give me something to get gassed about for the fight. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm happy that he's here. And, you know, with guys like AJ and Tyson Fury on their way out, the UK needs a superstar. The UK needs the next guy who's going to be selling out stadiums, who's going to be selling millions of pay-per-views, guys who we can take across the world and to say like this is one of our best guys. Ben Whittaker, he has the attributes and the tools to actually be that guy. Like at 6'3" with like an 80-something inch reach, you know, he has similar proportions to Usyk, and he's a light heavyweight. So given the right experience and the right skill set development, he could legitimately be a 3-division world champion: light heavy, cruiser, and heavyweight. The only other people that I can remember who've done that is Roy Jones. Michael Mora didn't win a title at cruiserweight. Vander Holyfield, he didn't win a title at light heavy. But, you know, so he actually has the opportunity to do something special. But, you know, you got to match him right. And yeah, he's got to lock in. But yeah, I wish him well. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy my analysis. You know, if you agree or disagree, you know, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to oblige. And yeah,